And this is how we welcome you to Artistic Spot, a show about art, talent, and entrepreneurship, where you are also the artist. In Artistic Spot, we're actors of our movies, singers of our musicals, and writers of our books. Today, we're celebrating episode 102. My name is Jose Rodriguez Marmo, and I'm your host. And I'm joined by this wonderful artists from their Blackmore studio at Favo. Kathy and Eric Blackmore, thank you very much, guys, for joining us for episode 102 of Artistic Spot.
So welcome. Welcome to our studio. Thanks for being here and for this conversation.
Thank you, Kathy, Eric. You guys are a couple, and you share this wonderful space at Favo, which is a gallery, but it also is an art classroom. So, Eric, can you tell us a little bit about your background? You're both originally from Cleveland, Ohio.
Right.
And you came here to Orlando. Can you guys tell us a little bit about that change and what are you doing right now?
So, like I said before, we met in art school. She was an illustrator and I was a designer. And I worked as a producer, an editor, and a graphic designer in Cleveland for 7-8 years. And then she got a job at Disney, and that's what brought us down here.
That's right. So after graduation, we went to the Cleveland Institute of Art, which was a 5-year art school at the time. Right. So we met each other. Graphic design and illustration was same department, and so we kind of met across the studio there. And so we were college sweethearts. And so we. And what's really cool, though, we found out that our moms are both artists and our dads are both engineers. The fact that they went to the same college, but different times in their life. So we have a lot in common. We balance each other out really well. Also, another way we balance each other is I'm very 2D, since I draw and illustrate, and he's very 3D. He's the sculptor. So anyway, I was working at American Greetings in Cleveland for designing Christmas products and things like that, and Eric was doing video production, and I had been trying to get into Disney and became an intern the spring of 1995, and then so Disney was looking to build up their Florida studio, and so I got the job.
Wow.
I went through the internship, and that was an amazing challenge. I'd never learned animation before. It wasn't offered at our school. But figure drawing was a big deal. Like, I actually minored in figure drawing in art school. So anyway, Disney brought us down, and I started working there. I did cleanup animation for 8 years.
Wow.
I have screen credit on Mulan, Tarzan, Brother Bear, Lilo and Stitch, which was my favorite production. I got to draw Stitch. He was such a fun character to draw. So, and it's really fun because my students are all like so into him and stuff now. And anyway, that was a really amazing experience. And then, so then Disney, they downsized when 2D was kind of going away for a little bit, and they were switching over to 3D. They actually closed the Florida studio. So I was laid off, trying to figure out what to do next. I wanted to get back to my illustration roots. So I actually joined the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators and got into children's book illustration, which was kind of like sort of at my beginning, my core, like why I went to school for illustration. It's what I wanted to do. So I started learning that business, and so then I was also teaching animation. So I used to teach at Full Sail and in Winter Park, and so anyway, that's kind of how it brought me to, so I was teaching animation and working on my illustration portfolio, and then, and did that for about 10 years or so. So in the meanwhile, when we moved to Florida, Eric was trying to decide what to do because he was kind of done with video producing, done with camera work for a while, and then, how did you, start up you started a graphic design business.
Right.
So he started his own business.
So, yeah, it was 25 or more years ago.
Yeah, something like that.
Anyways, it was, we moved down to Point Siena because we lived in the hood in Cleveland.
Point Siena.
And it was the hood. It was,
Yeah,
the old brownstones, and it was so noisy, and so we wanted to be out in the country. We happened to move next to one of the Nature Conservancy's preserves.
Wow.
And so you know, I'm like, do you guys need help? And I've been working with the Nature Conservancy doing their design work for, you know, various parts of the state of Florida, and, you know, in the past, multiple states and actually, you know, other parts of the world as well. So I started doing that, and then I picked up a bunch more clients over the years and doing design, photography, some exhibit displays, educational exhibits. Right now, I've got 3 state parks that are going to start doing. I'm going to start doing all the design and signage for them. I start teaching again, and this will be my 21st year.
Wow.
Yeah, that's been a fun ride. One of the classes I started teaching when digital photography got to a point where it was viable, I started teaching travel abroad digital photography classes. So we'd take, you know, a bunch of students with us, and we traveled to 32 countries.
About 30 some countries.
Wow.
Yeah.
Teaching,
That's
you know,
amazing.
photography.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been a lot of fun. And Kathy gets to go and teach
Yeah,
and
so
with me.
I've taught drawing and photography, or
Right.
just being a chaperone, which is kind of fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, herding all the
So,
kids.
Yeah. But he teaches, so at Florida Southern, he teaches the juniors and seniors.
Yeah, I actually teach
Right,
all
sorry.
levels.
Oh, yeah. got it.
Introduction to photography,
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
advanced photography, now and then, packaging, and then advanced print design, and then the seniors final
Yeah.
stuff. So I'm just an adjunct, so I go and do my damage for,
Yeah.
you know, one day, one long day, and then come back home. And right now I'm working on a bunch of furniture commissions. So I probably have about a year's work of furniture commissions.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you guys complement each other, which I think it's pretty amazing. If you were able to choose one experience in your lifetime since you have been together that has been the greatest highlight of your story as a couple, as an artist, which highlight would that be and why?
That's interesting. Yeah, that's hard to pick because of, you know what I love is that we have that shared history together of going through art school, and we had 2 solid years of art history, and so getting to travel together and then going to see these museums to see the actual art that we studied,
Right.
and that kind of thing, it felt like coming kind of full circle. But honestly, all along the way, I've always called Eric like my art director. Since he's so good at 3D stuff, he's definitely helps me with my arch nemesis, which is perspective. But anyway, whatever.
Yes.
Not you can't be great at everything.
That's true.
So, but anyway, so yeah, he helps me with that a lot.
Right.
But I don't know if there's like one solid thing, but honestly, that being able to travel the world with Eric and being
Yeah.
able to see art and experience cultural, just a cultural experience, doing that together has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Really great experience.
Yeah, I
So-
get paid to go travel,
Of course.
Yeah.
take pictures.
And if you
Yeah.
were able to choose one of those countries or cultures,
Oh,
which one would that be?
that's a hard one.
That
Yeah,
maybe
that's really
influenced the
hard.
most on your artistry and the things you have done?
Oh, yeah. Well, my family's originally from Holland, so when we first got to go to Amsterdam, that really made a huge impact on me. But also being able to see just all the different drawings and things like that. Another one, even though I'm not a sculptor, this one made a huge impact on both of us, was being able to see Michelangelo's work,
Yes.
his works, but in progress.
Yeah.
Everybody rushes to see the David, but the hallway it's lined with sculptures that he started but never finished. So you got to see his work. You got to see
Yeah,
the
like all the
chisel
stones
work
that
and-
didn't make it.
Yeah.
You know, for me, you know, it's just like I wanted to rub all over those stones. And it's like, oh, this is awesome. You know, it just all the chisel marks, the rakes, you know, everything that was
Yeah.
happening. That was gorgeous. Yeah, but it is. I don't think there's one thing. You know, I mean, we just celebrated 28 years of marriage,
28 years. Yeah.
and you know, we've had a good ride.
Yeah.
You know, artistically, I think there's been a lot of back and forth. You know, in terms of how we help each other. You know, looking at, like, you know, today I was looking at one of her pieces, and I'm like, okay, that's weird, and she's like, oh, I just saw that. So, you know, it's different eyes, you get on different things.
Yeah.
She'll,
exactly.
you know, and she was helping me, you know, glue stuff up before we got here.
Yeah, putting something together,
Right,
building
right.
it up.
So yeah, I
extra
mean,
hands.
yeah. But you know, we since we're from an art and art history program, and we were able to go and see all these museums all over the world. You know, you kind of soak in a lot from every place you go, right? You know, and so that's a lot of fun. And when you're teaching as well, it's great to get the students kind of to see outside of their realm, right? You know, because they're so used to the United States, and when you go elsewhere, you realize, oh, things are a lot different over here, right?
That's
You know?
correct.
Yeah, so that's always nice.
So you guys have been together for 28 years.
30.
Actually,
30,
like 30.
31.
Married for
Yeah,
28?
Yeah,
Yeah.
married for 28.
And together for 30 something?
31, 32, yeah, something like that.
What
yeah.
is the secret to the success of your marriage? Because you share the same passion for arts, even
Yeah.
though in different perspectives.
Yeah.
And you're a great team, and you
Yeah.
share a studio at Favo. So what
Yeah.
is the secret to that success?
Well, we always actually give the advice to just be nice to each other.
Yeah.
You know, I know that when we have our biggest conflicts, it's actually when we forget our manners. That's literally it. It's just be nice
Right.
and be kind to each other. And but also it's a work in progress. We're always kind of learning new ways of communicating and
Yeah.
talking to each other, but also really listening.
Yeah, I think
So,
that the
yeah.
biggest hurdle, the hardest thing for us is when she came home to the studio, and I'd been working on my own
Oh yeah.
for a long time, and we tried to share a room. That did not last long.
Right, yeah, because I always went off and worked for, like, I've been really fortunate. I've worked for Fortune 500 companies.
Yes.
American Greetings, Disney, Full Sail. I've always worked for the man, you know, kind of thing. And so when I would come home, he was at home. He was always kind of freelance and had studios and workshops at home. So I would come home and just be like wanting to talk and do whatever, and he was still in the middle of things. So that was actually a huge transition in terms of allowing each other time and space, you know, kind of thing.
Right.
To
And
create.
I tend to get very focused, and there's other humans in the room, even her.
Right.
It's like,
and you have to learn not to take things personally
Right.
like, when
Of
it
course.
comes to that.
right, right.
So so you know how like when you're so focused and so
Yes.
into something, it's really easy now for me to recognize that and be like, okay, no, I don't. I'll tell him later. You know, it's nothing that
Right.
pressing, kind of deal.
Yeah, but
So,
but we
that
worked
kind
it
of
out.
communication, but it really is. It comes down to just good communication.
Yeah.
And, I've definitely become a better listener, and I know that has helped our friendship too, because we were friends to start,
Mhm.
you know, in art school. I mean, I remember like when we first started dating, I just was like, this is like the coolest human I've ever met, and I want to know him for the rest of my life no matter what happens. I just was so glad that we were friends. And so that's how we started, we started as friends, and then it just grew from there.
She liked my cheap cars.
And his long hair. He
My
has
long
longer
hair.
hair than me. He's
Yeah.
such a hippie.
Yeah.
And in fact, one of our first dates was to go get his stupid car from the shop.
Yeah, it
His
was.
car's
Yeah.
always in the shop.
Oh
Yeah.
God, that's an
So,
amazing story.
yeah.
You guys have
Yeah.
different stories to share with people, which
Yeah.
is wonderful. Now, Eric, talk to us about how you ended up at Favo and having the Blackmore Studios here.
It's actually
It's because of her.
Okay, so after I left Full Sail, I got sort of burnt out teaching animation, and my illustration was starting to take off. So I've probably illustrated over 20 books now that have been published. So I wanted to do that a little bit more full time, and also get back to teaching, because I've actually, since I'm from a big family, I've been kind of around children my whole life. I love children, and even though we decided not to have any, but it's really cool to be around them.
Yes.
We've
Right.
got like 60 plus
60
nieces and nephews.
Yeah, so
That's enough, right?
Yeah.
plenty.
Yeah,
I'm
we
one of
just-
11, so yeah,
Wow.
we've got lots
Yeah.
and lots of.
I mean, there was
nieces
just
and
a baby. There's been a new baby born every year we've been together,
At least
or
one,
one or
right?
two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So you get to,
anyway,
you get to
yeah.
be with them, but you don't have to raise them.
right.
So you get to
Yeah.
enjoy them, which is
In-
amazing.
In our family, being an aunt and uncle is a good responsibility.
Of course.
So, yeah, and so that's always a thing. But I honestly, if art wasn't going to work out, I was going to be like I wanted to teach spelling. I wanted to be
Right.
a teacher. So I've actually been teaching since college days. I taught a youth program at our school, and then I've kind of always been sort of a mentor, and I was a mentor at Disney after a while. And then, so getting into teaching animation was fun, and so I really wanted to get back to teaching beginners, teaching children. And so it just was very serendipitous. A very good friend of ours told me about this little studio in College Park called Local Color. And it was perfect timing because she was wanting to retire and finish up with what she was doing, which was after school and summer art classes for kids. Absolutely independent, right? No, she decided her own curriculum and stuff. So I walked into her studio. I was like, this is exactly where I feel like I should be. And she essentially just kind of handed me the keys. She's like, here's
That's
my
amazing.
clientele,
Yeah.
here, have these art supplies. And like my ode to her is my blue floor, because her studio, she painted her floor blue, and I was just like, it was the most inspirational, beautiful thing, because it's calming and cool, and like it's exciting. Like you feel like you're in the ocean, but also it's just this beautiful, peaceful thing. So anyway, I got into teaching art classes. She sold the building. I had to look for a new space. We have very good, one of my dearest friends in the world is Holly Tharp, and she has a studio here.
Okay.
And we also know the people who were at the beginning of Favo, at the opening of Favo, and helping with that. And they were actually, they were attendants at the church and everything. So that's how we found out about Favo. Got myself on the waiting list, and very luckily got into this studio.
Right.
So I was like, okay, so this is my classroom. It was really hard because I was going from like 800 square feet down to our tiny little studio here. But that was a good thing. And so I figured, well, it's part of the contract that we open up first Fridays and now first Saturdays too. So I said, Eric, why not? Let's make it a gallery too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as soon as I said that, he imagined the shelving and the storage, and like, so he kind of just automatically had that in mind. And I was freaking out a little bit, but he just calms me right down.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sort of. But anyway, so it just works out that this room is a classroom for the whole month, or the rest of the month. So after school and for summer. And then on our first Friday events, the day before, the day of whichever, I kind of hide away all art supplies. We have sort of a system down, and then we convert it to gallery mode, as I call it. And then Eric comes in, swoops in, and starts to put his pieces out.
That is amazing. So you have a 2-in-1 studio dash gallery
Exactly right.
in the same place.
So it's a classroom, like classroom studio / gallery.
Yes.
Yeah, it's it's great because it's like it's 2 days a month, right? So we can get in and it's comfortable enough to take down, and she can get back into classroom mode.
Yes.
So it works out really nice.
So you guys have both experience in teaching. So what's the biggest takeaway, Eric, in your case, from teaching? And for me, being able to deliver that message and your knowledge to a new audience that is starting and building up their futures.
I think one of the biggest rewards is that understanding or that excitement when somebody finally starts to see, right? Because as an artist, or like when I'm teaching photography, the beginners, I ask them why do you take a photograph, and most of the reasons like it's cool, it's beautiful, there's lots of reasons. So it's your emotion that gets you into that, but then you become the professional. Well, how do I get that shot? How do I get it to do what I want it to do? What's my artistic expression going to be there? When the kids start to see and understand that, and then they really start to work, I just love that. And for me, like this last year, our seniors graduated during a pandemic, and most of them all have jobs now.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So that's really satisfying too. So and I still friends. I've been doing it for, like I said, 21 years now, and I've built a lot of relationships with a lot of former students, so that's nice.
Now, Kathy, what about you? What's the biggest takeaway from working and teaching art to kids?
Oh man, they keep me so inspired. Creatively, for me, myself, I feel rejuvenated by them. I'm inspired by them to just explore and play and not get so set in stone all the time, or be too afraid to try something. I know that some students, they are scared to make mistakes. They're scared that it won't be exactly what they see in their head. And
Yes.
I do that a lot. I know almost probably every artist does that, where you're just like, you're so afraid of that blank canvas, or you're so afraid that no one will like it, or whatever you're afraid of. And children have the same fears, but
It's all less up through college too.
So easily overcome it. They overcome it easier, I think, than like your adult brain that's already been hardwired, like, oh yeah, I know the consequences or whatever. So that to me is a true inspiration in terms of their sense of play and just be like, oh, whatever. But it's also fun to be able to expose them to that idea that it's like, it's no big deal if you don't like it. You know, crumple it up and throw it over your shoulder. And they're like, ugh. I'm like, just draw another one.
Make
just
another one,
make
right.
another one.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they're like, what? But it was so, like, you know, it just not to be so precious or whatever. But I think that how, like, for me, I learn from my students in terms of how humans learn and how you have to be exposed to different things and to be able to just sort of explore and play. And that it can be just enjoyable. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to sell it. It doesn't have to be something that becomes your profession, your vocation in life. It could just be something for you. So I know that sounds like a lot of things, but it comes back to the inspiration that I get from my kids, and then being able to inspire them to just try something different and maybe push their boundaries just a little bit.
Yes.
Because again, with this whole being part of a traditional artist, being a traditional artist, and now these students are being raised, they do a lot of art digitally.
Right.
They want to be able to push a button and it looks just so. It looks just perfect. But again, it's like, no, you didn't make that, the computer made it, kind of thing. But yeah, I'm sure a lot of my friends are like, wait. The computer's a tool, and how you use it, and you are still the artist. You are the hand making something. So there's the whole big discussion back and forth about digital versus traditional.
Well, you know, we even have that at you know, the level that I'm teaching. You know, it's like somebody comes up with an idea. I'm like, well, does this have to be done on a computer? You can get out, you know, you can create a collage out of something physical and take a photograph.
True.
Right. You know, there's lots of different ways to approach image creation. Right, and whatever you're going to do, whatever that is going to be in the end, you know, the tool is just a tool, no matter what you're doing.
Yes.
So it can be, you know, really anything. Yeah. So you know, I mean, it is a lot of fun, you know. But like, I even tell my students, you know, I show them some of my woodwork, and I'm like, yeah, if I, you know, mess this up, I burn it. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah.
You?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I throw it on fire. We have
and then you start from scratch, and that's it.
Yeah, we got nicely round piece of firewood.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yes, but yeah, it's the idea of the non-preciousness of creation and making, and you know, it's okay to fail. You know, it's you know, I think that's a great thing about the art field itself. You have a record of what you did. You can see your growth. You know, and it's in my case, like with my students, I'm like, oh shit, you know, that design style was around when I was in college. You know, you're going to get into the great, you know, recycling of ideas, and they get all excited about it because it's retro. I'm like, shit, I already did that, right? And it wasn't retro when we did it, you know, it was something new. But so it's kind of interesting to see that progress and to be able to go back and look, you know, at what you've done and the mistakes, and you know, just toss out the shit.
Yeah.
You know?
My students tell me all the time, there's no mistakes in art. And I'm like, well,
there are a few.
Well, the thing is, it's like, well, if you were trying to draw an elephant, but it looks like a giraffe, then that might be a mistake.
Correct.
And they're like, oh, well, right. And I said, but if you're just making art for yourself, and you just want to have some fun or whatever, then of course, no mistakes at all. You just make. You know, make a mess.
Right.
And that's actually what's really fun, is this studio gets so messed up. Like, it is so messy. Like, it is the most
she's so
joyful,
happy in that mess.
It is the most joyful thing to give like a child, a basket of cut up pieces of yarn, like confetti, like a huge basket, and just see them throw it up in the air. All those colors and all those pieces and all that. It's like, what's going on in that little brain? You know, it's just so much fun. But it's a release for them as well. I mean, it's kind of weird sometimes to think of kids getting stressed out or worried. And of course, after this past year or so, you know, they do get really worried and stressed about so many things. So art gives them that kind of just a release and also just to let them be a kid again too.
Yes.
And that's what I love about it too. I feel like a kid all the time in here.
Yeah.
So now, guys, your story, it's definitely amazing. And we're honored to have you on the show. It's an honor and a pleasure that you're part of Artistic Spot on our story. But before we leave, and I give you the opportunity to tell and give our audience a message, where can they follow you? Do you have any social media, any Instagram, any website where they can see your work, where they can contact you for classes?
Oh yeah, good thinking. Okay, so I'm Kathy Blackmore on Instagram, and so that's just a personal thing. My for Creative Core is the name of my classroom or my curriculum. My art program is ccart.studio. So the letter C, art.studio. And so you can find anything about my lessons, my classes there. And also you can find my illustration portfolio, a link there. My website is katherineblackmore.com. And and then Eric has his whole deal.
EricBlackmorePhotography.com. That's travel photography and our stuff that we're shooting around the world. And then there's Eric Blackmore or BlackmoreWoodworks.com.
Stay curious, and that leads to finding a passion and finding what you love, and do what you love, and just enjoy every moment.
Be curious is a good one. Yeah. You know, always try to find the things that give you joy, right? And always be looking and hunting and traveling and embracing life that way. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Once again, guys, thank you so much for opening the doors of your studio-gallery. Thank you for sharing your wonderful love story and your background as artists.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I don't know how to do the heart
Little
thing.
hearts.
Like this?
Little hearts.
Like that?
We love you.
Yeah, thanks for letting us, again, thanks for this interview and for letting us be a part of your podcast.
Yes, thank
presentation.
you.
It was awesome.
Thank
you so much.
We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for your talent, and we wish you all the best.
Thanks.
Thank you. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, RJJ Design, JJ Arts and Design on Facebook, and subscribe to our Artistic Spot YouTube channel so you can enjoy all the episodes that we have uploaded in our YouTube channel. And for those of you, our audience, don't forget to tune us back in next week for episode 103 of Artistic Spot, where you are also the artist. Hearts.